a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are Southwest.
Tonight begins a stretch where your Rangers play 13 of their next 16 games right here at Globe Life Park. And there could not be a better way to kick it all off than having Cole Hamels on the mound. The Rangers ace has been everything everyone hoped for and more. An unblemished record and an example for many of the younger players to follow. The homestand gets underway with the first game of a 4-game series against Chris Davis and the hot Baltimore Orioles. The Rangers are home, and they're coming up next on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T High-Speed Internet. Now the Rangers return home in the wee hours of the morning. A beautiful evening here at Globe Life Park. The club happy to be back, and they are happy to have an opportunity to take on an Eastern Division foe in the Baltimore Orioles tonight. The first of 4 with the Birds. And welcome in everyone, along with Tom Greaves, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us for this Thursday night of Ranger baseball. Rangers coming back off a 4-3 road trip. Played very well, got the offense going. Tonight, they turn to their ace again, and that is Cole Hamels, Tom.
Well, he is an ace, Buzz, and that's what the Rangers wanted when they made the trade for him. He's off to an excellent start this year. He's pitched twice. He's won twice. 7 innings on opening day, 6 innings on the road. 9 starts at Globe Life Park. He's undefeated, hasn't lost at home. A nice ERA, great opponent's batting average, great strikeout to walk ratio. So far this year in the first 2 ball games, he's had a good fastball and excellent pitches to go along with it. He's at the top of his game, and he'll need to be because the Orioles are really swinging the bats right now.
That he will, and this is Cole's 3rd start, 3rd time now that he has matched up against the team's opening day starters. So a good matchup on the hill tonight. Couple of good offenses also going for the swinging for the downs here this evening at Globe Life Park. Ruben Odor and company getting ready to take things under wing as they take on the Baltimore Orioles. We're back with the starting lineup from the first pitch right after this. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit your local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T high-speed internet. Get a deal worth talking about. Get high-speed internet from AT&T. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Well, a very comfortable 72 degrees here at Globe Life Park. A gentle breeze drifting in from left center field. Rangers have taken the field. They are getting set to take on the Baltimore Orioles. And Tom's going to tell you about the Birds lineup tonight.
Rule 5 draft pick Joey Rickard is the leadoff hitter playing left field. Manny Machado is at third base. Adam Jones is the third place hitter, followed by former Ranger Chris Davis. Mark Trumbo is the DH. Matt Wieters is catching. J.J. Hardy hits seventh. Jonathan Scope is the second baseman, and batting ninth, the right fielder Nolan Rimo.
And a power-laden Baltimore lineup at that, facing Cole Hamels. Hamels making his third start. As I mentioned, all of his starts now have been against the opposing team's opening day starters. Against Felix Hernandez with Seattle, against Garrett Richards for the Los Angeles Angels, and now tonight against Chris Tillman and the Baltimore Orioles. Cole on quite a roll. He has won 9 consecutive decisions. He has won his first 6 starts in this ballpark. That's only the second time in Ranger history that that's happened. He and Yu Darvish are the two in that category that have won at least their first 6. Darvish won his first 7. Barry Zito, the only other pitcher to win consecutive starts. He had 8 consecutive wins as he opened up this ballpark. So we are underway in the first pitch as Joey Rickard is in for strike 1. Rickard, a Rule 5 draft from the Tampa Bay Rays, coming over to the Orioles in this past offseason. Off to a great start. He had a 7-game hitting streak snapped in Boston last night. Well, his major league debut, quite a flourish getting out of the box. First Oriole player in franchise history to hit safely in as many as 7 straight games to start a career with it.
Yeah, there really was nothing in his minor league credentials that would have suggested leading off for the first place team in the American League East. But he's risen to the occasion for sure.
Pops this one out behind second. And Elvis will circle underneath it for out number 1. Well, Rickard retired. That brings up Manny Machado. It also brings us to the point where we're going to show you the Ranger defense, brought to you by Fred Loya Insurance. Outfield tonight, Desmond in left, DeShields in center, and Mazzara is in right field. Infield with Moreland and Odor on the right side. You saw Elvis at shortstop. Adrian Beltre down at the hot corner, and Brian Holiday, another start behind the plate. Here's Machado off to a torrid start, hitting .441. He is 15 for 34 to begin the year. To right field, hit pretty well. Mazzara, though, angling toward the side and makes the catch, about 20 feet fair or so. And there are 2 quick outs in the air against Cole Hamels. Next will be Adam Jones. Well, the Ranger club, the starters have been doing yeoman work. They have gotten off to a great start. This is the 11th ball game for the Rangers. The starters have had quality starts, if you're into that, in 8 of the first 10 outings they've had this year. And they have thrown at least 5 innings in all the starts. And that is something that the Ranger club had not done this far into the season. Into the hole. Elvis gets up. Long throw, dug out. Nicely by Moreland. Great play. And it looks like Adam Jones down there at first. And hey, wait a minute. You want to take a look at that? And Buck Showalter says, just hang on a second. We might want to have an appeal on that play. Adam Jones out just by an eyelash, according to the first base umpire, Jordan Baker. And it looks like there he got him, huh?
I don't think they can reverse it.
And
maybe they can. Let's see. Wow.
They are not going to. Yep. Buck Showalter said, no, we're not going to appeal that. So that'll do it. 3 up and 3 down. Thanks to a great play by Andrus and Moreland. Half an inning in the books. Orioles nothing. Rangers coming up. Cole Hamill sends the Orioles down in order. Now, Rangers coming up. Tom's going to tell you about the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers starting lineup.
Leading off is Delino DeShields. Nomar Mazara, again, will be in the second spot. Prince Fielder and Adrian Beltre are third and fourth. Mitch Moreland is at first base. Ian Desmond will bat sixth. Rougned Odor is the second baseman. He'll hit seventh. Elvis is eighth. And the catcher, Brian Holiday, bats ninth.
And that Ranger lineup will face the 27-year-old right-hander, Chris Tillman. 6'5", right-hander, fires, strike one to Delino DeShields. Tillman will celebrate his 28th birthday tomorrow. The Rangers trying to make sure he doesn't get an early present. 1-1 the count. Delino DeShields now at 267. The last couple of days, DeShields has just gone crazy. Facing Tillman. Tillman, a little bit more of a power pitcher. He apparently has added a few miles per hour to that fastball in the last year or so. A little sharper breaking ball, a little harder power type slider. And this is his third straight year of being the opening day starter for the Orioles. So they depend upon him to set the tone for consistency in that rotation. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Must have had the same pitching coach as Taijuan Walker. He starts pretty much the exact same way.
And Delino shooting that ball to right for a base hit. Big turn at first. Raimel gets the ball back in, and Delino DeShields is smoking hot right about now. 3 straight games he's had a base hit.
Yeah, he's got his on-base percentage up above 40%. Nice line drive base hit right there. A little bit of a slow start, batting average-wise for Delino, but he's getting his walks. Beat out a sacrifice bunt the other day for a base hit. Getting in the groove.
Well, the leadoff man aboard now. Nomar Mazara comes up to face Tillman. Mazara took his first 0 for yesterday as a big leaguer. Took an 0 for 3. Did have a walk. Nomar now 0 for his last 7 times to the plate. That's after having 6 hits in his first 9 major league at bats. A home run, a couple driven in. And Delino, pretty good lead at first. And Tillman, a pretty good move over to first. Mazara, the 20-year-old, he's still the youngest player currently at the major league level. Off the end of the bat, Machado. Excellent with a glove at third. He throws out Mazara into scoring position to liner to Shields. And he's got Fielder and Beltre coming up. Take a look at the Orioles defense, brought to you by T-Mobile. You saw Manny Machado at third, J.J. Hardy at short on the left side, Jonathan Scope and Chris Davis on the right side. Outfield, Rickert, Jones, and Reimold left, center, and right, with Matt Wieters behind the plate. Very good fielding defense. Orioles, the fewest errors in baseball the last 3 years. And this year they have committed 4, which is a little higher than their normal average, but it's still 5th best in the American League.
Well, those few errors that they've made over the last 4 years, combined with the home runs they've hit, the reason why they've got such a great record over the last 4 years. Most wins in the American League. We mentioned that in the pregame show. Kind of a surprise, I think, to people if you were to pick the team with the most wins over 4 years in the American League. I wouldn't pick the Orioles.
No, I wouldn't have either. And, you know, we were talking about that United before the ball game. I can think of 3 or 4 teams ahead of them that I would have picked, but Buck Showalter's club have been so consistent year in and year out. Just haven't gotten the big ring they're looking for.
No, they haven't had a real bad year. They've been above 500. There's a lot of other teams that have had some big years, but they also, in the last 4 years, have had a bad year. The Orioles have been competitive, more than competitive, every year the last 4 years.
And Prince takes that pitch down and in. 3 balls and no strikes to Fielder. Tillman working carefully with first base open with the Shields at second. Fielder batting third. He'll be followed by the Ranger cleanup man, Adrian Beltre. Prince had an RBI single on a 3-0 pitch the other day in Seattle. Takes that one. A little bit different spot than he was looking for. Looking for something down out over the plate to drive, and it was up in the strike zone. At least 1 RBI in 7 games this season. That's the most of any hitter in the major leagues. 3-1 as Tillman checks second. Now 3-2. Interesting, the Orioles not using the overshift with Tillman working to Prince Fielder. Saw both the Angels and Seattle Mariners really overshift against virtually every left-handed hitter the Rangers threw up there. Fielder and Moreland especially. But not the Orioles.
Well, we're going to have some advanced metrics to show our fans tonight about the shift to kind of explain what you're talking about, Buzz.
Slowly tapped out toward Hardy. He throws out Fielder. On to third goes to Shields. He's there with 2 outs for Adrian Beltre. Well, as long as you brought it up, Tom, we'll show the folks right now.
We were talking, Buzz, that the Orioles don't shift against Prince Fielder. When you look at the batted balls last year versus the shift versus no shift, he actually hit better, 321, as opposed to 296 when there was a shift. And if you look at his numbers, where he hits the ball percentage-wise, it's really no different whether there's a shift or whether there's not a shift.
Right.
And, you know, those numbers aren't a secret. So what we were talking about before the game is if those numbers are available to everybody, why does a team put the shift on when he hits better with the shift on? The Orioles didn't, so maybe they're looking at the same stats we were looking at.
And the interpretation of them for the Orioles anyway is, you know, we'll play it straight and see what happens. That ball is blasted to center. Going back is Jones. He pulls up on the warning track and hauls it in. Adrian Beltre, a 400-foot out, and the Ranger first comes to a close. No runs a hit and 1 man left. We'll move to the second. Rangers nothing, Orioles nothing. Ball game. Rangers with the only base hit. That a Delino to Shields single to right. Cole Hamels back out to the hill, and Chris Davis, the cleanup man, greets him. Fastball right down the middle for strike one. Chris Davis, .233 start for him. 4 home runs, 9 RBIs. So the big guy who signed a big multi-year contract in the offseason. Actually, it was in January with the Orioles. Doing exactly what the Orioles are paying him for. And that's to hit the ball out of the ballpark, drive in runs, and play extremely good defense at first base. 2-1. And the Rangers a little bit different with Cole Hamels on the mound, a left-hander facing Davis. And you do have Rougned Odor playing the rover out there in right field, but the rest of the infield shading him to pull. And a pop up off the fist. Beltre coming down the line will take care of that for out number 1. Good pitch by Hamels.
Yeah, that's not a bad place to throw, Chris Davis. Belt high or above and in on the corner or off the plate. A little bit of a problem with that pitch at times.
Well, one gone with Mark Trumbo coming up. We're going to welcome in Jim Knox. Hey, Knoxy.
I appreciate it, Buzz. Glad to be back here at Globe Life Park. We have a special guest going on tonight. We got a big family, the Burkhardt family, coming in from all over. What's this about, Dina?
It's our 4-brother family reunion. We're coming across from California to Georgia, and we're here to watch the Texas Rangers win.
All right, there we go. All right, good to have you out here. Anything you want to say, big guy?
Yes, sir. Go Rangers!
I like that. There we go, Buzz.
All right, Knoxy. California to Georgia, they're spread out all over the place. Mark Trumbo, one of the newer members of the Baltimore Orioles, signed in the offseason with him. Came over to trade, actually, from Seattle, but that was done in the offseason, and he's off to a terrific start. Couple of home runs, 5 RBI, a .406 average. He lines one deep to left field. Desmond going back after he started in, and Ian able to make up for a little bit of a misread.
Well, Trumbo's hot right now. He's he's the epitome of a streaky hitter. When he's in a good streak, he can carry a team, and then he can go 50 or 60 at bats and get pretty cold. To start the season, he's swinging it. He almost overran that ball. Watch him right here. He's going to have to reach back on the other side of his head to catch it.
Yeah, that streak that Ian went through in spring training in the first part of the year, where he didn't have any plays, and when he did, they were pretty much routine fly balls. That's changed for him. He's had some tough ones.
Yep.
Matt Wieters, the switch hitting catcher up there, and Ian Desmond getting his feet wet as an everyday, primarily a left fielder for the Rangers. Hard hit, but pulled foul, and Hamels in front of the count. No balls, 2 strikes. Matt Wieters coming back from spending a lot of last year on the disabled list. He had Tommy John surgery the year before and missed about half of 2015 trying to recover from that. 1-2. And he had some difficulties this spring, was in and out of the lineup a bit. Still trying to fight his way back to everyday playing shape. It's one of the best catchers in baseball when he went down with that elbow injury. Last 3 games, it's been a bit of a struggle for him. Just 1 for 12. Not 2-2. Wieters 1 for 6 in previous matchups with Cole Hamels. This Oriole ball club has hit better in the early going against right-handed pitching than they have left-handers by about 100 points. 3-2. So Wieters hitting 6th in the order. Has the count full after an 0-2 start, and J.J. Hardy in the on-deck circle. Payoff pitch from Hamels. Sky to center. Easy play for Delino. Ambling in a couple of steps, and that'll do it. So 6 up, 6 down. Orioles out in order one more time. An inning and a half have gone by, no score. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Visit a local Texas Ford dealer today for incredible deals and see why Ford is the best in Texas. A nice crowd on hand in this Thursday evening, a comfortable night. Mitch Moreland starting things off here in the Rangers' second. Chris Tillman deals ball one. Mitch stepping to the plate, hitting 194. He's 6 for 31. Good sinking fastball. 1 ball and 1 strike. Our TXU Energy power player to watch. And that would be Mitch Moreland tonight. 4 of his hits this season, well, last season I should say, against Baltimore were home runs. In fact, it was back-to-back games where Mitch had 2 home run games.
Well, Mitch has had a couple of pitches to hit this year, more than a couple, and some great swings. He just hasn't quite connected yet. He's had some pitches out over the plate, taking great swings and fouled them back. Still trying to zero in a little bit.
Out of play to the left. Still 1-2. Well, Moreland against Tillman. 2 for 7. He does not have a home run in his career, but he has driven in a couple of runs. Only Ranger in the club this year to have a home run against Tillman, Adrian Beltre. And Adrian didn't come too far from having one his first time up. Sent Adam Jones all the way back to the 404 marker to haul in his blast. 2-2 to Mitch. On the left side, Hardy looking back for Rickard, see if he's going to be in the vicinity, and Hardy will take it in foul ground. Moreland out. 1 gone for Ian Desmond.
It's fun to watch Hardy play. He's got some power for a shortstop, and he's a Gold Glover, and he makes it look easy out there. Very gifted defensive player. You got Machado going after that play? Oh, sorry. Oh, my God. Well, Machado's pretty gifted, too.
Yeah,
they're both gifted.
Left side of that infield is pretty gifted. Here's Ian Desmond, and he takes ball 1. Desmond battling an 0 for 14 streak.
Yeah, you're talking about the Orioles' defense, and their defense in the infield is really good. Machado has as much range. He's got a great arm. That hit ball right back to the mound. Hardy is a Gold Glover at shortstop and has been. Scope is a developing player, turns the double play great. Ranger fans remember Chris Davis at first base. He's very good at first base himself. Wieters, when he's healthy, is an excellent catcher. So the pitchers keep the ball in the infield. They've got the guys that'll definitely make the plays. Adam Jones is a really good center fielder. So they can score runs. They can hit home runs. They play excellent defense. They've had a really good bullpen the last couple of years. So far, the bullpen has been good. Pretty much starting pitching will determine how far they go.
Rougned Odor taking strike one. Rougned at 167 with a home run. He is third on the club with 6 runs driven in. Oh, 2 now.
It's a little bit different than yesterday's game. There were about 60 pitches thrown in the first inning between the two pitchers. They won't get to 60 after 2 innings in this game.
No, probably not.
Cole barely got to 20. Tillman's under 30.
Rougned Odor, 16 home runs going back less than a year ago, June, when he came back from AAA. And Odor down swinging as Tillman gets a punch out, his first of the night. Rangers gone in order after 2 completed. Globe Live Park, no score. Follow Rangers baseball live with MLB.com at BAT app. You can stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and a lot more. Download MLB.com at BAT. It's the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or your tablet. Now Cole Hamels out to work to the bottom third of the Oriole order. J.J. Hardy, Jonathan Scope, and Nolan Reimold. Hardy had a 2-home run game up in Boston day before yesterday for the Orioles. Well, it seems like every year he has a couple of streaks where he just goes crazy hitting the long ball. Last year was the exception. And he's been one of the most prolific home run hitters for shortstops in baseball the last decade.
Yeah, you really don't look at him and see a home run hitter, but over a 3-year period, 11 through 13, he averaged 25 home runs.
And you saw the graphic. 5 of his 6 hits this year have been extra bases. 2-2. That's popped up. The liner to Shields. Puts it away.
It's a sixth ball in the air so far.
Jonathan Scope coming up. But first of all, we're going to send it over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break.
Wow.
Thank you, Dana. That's pretty impressive.
That's the way that guy's going to pitch. I'm glad he's doing it for the Phillies and not the Astros.
You know, the Astros got rid of a few guys that Mark Appel and who was their #1 pick
in that trade.
Ago. Yeah.
In that trade for Ken Giles. They also let J.D. Martinez go too. He's doing pretty well for the Tigers.
Yeah.
Sounds like this kid must have great stuff. I think we saw him last year at times, if I remember right.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Yep.
But he's got a mid-90s fastball and strikeout 16. He must have something else to go along with it too, like a great changeup maybe.
Jonathan Scope swinging on 3-0 and fouled it back.
These guys go for the downs, boy. They let their 8th place hitter swing 3-0. And Scope's got some power. He's hit double-digit home runs a couple times.
Better than a third of his hits last year went for extra bases. And off the end of the bat, easy play for Rougned Odor. 2 gone. So Hamill's doing a good job of coming back from 3-0 count to get Scope. Now he'll face the #9 hitter in Nolan Reimold. Cole Hamels has been the starter, or when he has been the starter. The Rangers have won the last 12 times out. 9 of them have been a winning decision for Cole. One ball, no strikes.
The other day in Seattle, there were just a ton of foul balls. Today, the Orioles aren't fouling anything off. They're pretty much, if they swing, they're putting it in play. A lot of quick outs in this game. That's only the 32nd or 33rd pitch for Cole. Throwing mostly fastballs so far.
Reimold 3 of 11 this year. Cole pulling the string on that one. That's a changeup.
Yeah, a couple of them.
1 and 2. That one's popped into shallow right. Going out Odor, coming on Mazzara. It's going to fall in. And going for second is Reimold. The throw not in time. He is in there with what will probably be a double. As a matter of fact, it will be a double. That pop up right out there in no man's land. Odor going out was looking back at Mazzara, and Mazzara was looking at Rougned, and the ball dropped between them.
After 2 changeups, Cole got in on the fists of Reimold and jammed him with that fastball. Ball fell in, and then it got compounded when no one could pick it up. Reimold ended up at second.
Well, back to the top of the order. And Joey Ricker lines one to left field. It's going to be off the wall on a hop. So around third coming in to score is Reimold. And back-to-back doubles put the Orioles on the board. They lead the Rangers 1-0.
Well, Rickard just went right up there and looked at the first fastball and ripped it to left field. A little blooper fell in. Looked like it was a harmless little blooper. But it turned into a double, and then a base hit. The double brings him in.
Joey Rickard with his 3rd double of the year drives in his 4th run. Now Rickard out at second with 2 outs. Manny Machado comes to the plate. Cole making sure that Machado didn't have a fastball to try and jump on the first pitch. Machado a fly ball to right. His first time up there. Good pitch under his hands. 1-1. One and 2. Pretty good changeup that Hamels has out there tonight. Matter of fact, all of his stuff looks good tonight. He has good command. Trying to dispose of Machado and keep the damage down to 1 run. Beltre had tough hop. He recovers now. Now they've got Rickert.
That's one way of doing it.
Yeah. Adrian's going to have a hard time if he had to throw across the diamond to get Machado, but Rickert straight too far, and they got him. Orioles are run on 2 hits. They lead 1. 2.5 in the books. 1-0 Baltimore. Individual Hyundai Club tickets include food and beverage and one of the best views in Globe Life Park. Individual tickets are available in the Hyundai Club for select games in this homestand, including tomorrow night and Sunday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Hyundai Club tickets are available at TexasRangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. Elvis Andrus to lead things off against Chris Tillman. It'll be Andrus, Holiday, and DeShields here in the Ranger third. Baltimore on top 1-0. Elvis stepping in, hitting at .357. Had yesterday off, and he has been one of the hotter Ranger hitters. Also enjoyed hitting against Chris Tillman, 5 for 13. That's a .385 mark. Tillman pulling the string on a breaking ball, and the count evens at 1-1. Five hits in his last 8 times to the plate for Elvis. Couple of doubles. 2-1. And he's been popping the ball all over the ballpark. Pulling some pitches to left and hitting line drives to right, especially into the right field corner, those 2 doubles. 3-1. Well, Elvis trying to get aboard to start this Ranger third inning. The number 9 man, Brian Holiday, the catcher, is in the on-deck circle. And ball 4 puts Elvis aboard. That's one thing Ranger hitters up and down the order have done well this year, and that's accept the break base on balls. They are 4th in the American League coming into play tonight with 29 walks. And that's even having just 7 the last 5 games. So here's Brian Holiday, 2 for 12. The TCUX and Fort Worth resident. Grew up in Dallas. Does have a little bit of a history with Chris Tillman, 1 for 5 in his career. Rangers acquired Brian Holiday right at the end of spring training when Chris Jimenez went down with that infection in his leg. Rangers fortunately able to wrest Brian Holiday away from the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah, it turned out that was a pretty important acquisition when Robinson Chirinos got hurt. It's nice to have an accomplished defensive catcher, a guy like Brian with big league experience, available to make that trade. He's got a great opportunity to get a lot of playing time.
That's just off the outer edge. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Buzz, we're talking about the Orioles record the last 4 years. Neither one of us would have picked them to have more wins than any team in the American League over the last 4 years. Show you how my memory works. I don't remember them in 2014. They won 96 games, won the division by 12 games.
I didn't recall that either.
I saw I'm reading it wrong. Yeah, 96 and 66. First place by 12 games. That's only a couple years ago. They get no respect. They're the Rodney Dangerfield of the AL East, boy. I think Yankees and Red Sox and Blue Jays right now, but Orioles are actually the one that has the best record over the last 4 years.
I was probably still holding a grudge against them for beating the Rangers in that wild card playoff.
Yeah, I remember that one.
2012.
Joe Saunders.
Yeah.
If you ever had a game that looked like a pretty good matchup, Yu Darvish and Joe Saunders, that was it.
Left center field. Rickard comes on to make the catch, and back to first goes Elvis. So Holiday skies out. Now back to the top of the order for Delino to Shields. Now we'll see if Jeff Bannister or these two guys with Elvis and with Delino might want to utilize their speed. Maybe a little hit and run, something along that line, get some energy injected into the ball game for the Ranger offense. Tillman's done a pretty good job of shutting him down so far. DeShields has the only base hit. That was a single to right field his first time up. There's a bunt, and it's a dandy. Machado's going to let it roll, and it's going to roll foul. No, Delino just, that was about as perfect a bunt as you could have until the last 6 inches on the grass when it pulled off into the dirt. Man.
You can see it spinning. Unfortunately, that spin took a foul before it hit the bag.
Oh, Delino back to the play. Machado heaving a sigh of relief. Thank goodness that thing wasn't fair. 0-1 to the Shields. Delino with that base hit now has hit safely in each of his last 3 ball games. 6 out of his last 10 with 4 runs scored. So that figure up there at the top of the lineup. Number of times crossing home plate. The big number for DeShields and the Rangers. One and two. The Rangers pretty much had their way with Baltimore last year. The Orioles defeated the Rangers only 1 time in the 7 matchups. Rangers won the last 4, including all 3 here. All the way to the backstop. And down to second goes Elvis. A big turn as that ball ricocheted almost down to third. That would have been a pretty good race. Elvis trying to get to third before the ball got there. A wild pitch as Anderson scoring position. A 2-2 the count to DeShields. Elvis establishing his lead out there at second base. Hard hit, but sure-handed J.J. Hardy throws out Delino. 2 gone. It'll be up to Nomar Mazara. If the young man can get Elvis in from second base. Mazara tapped out to third back in the first inning. Mazara called up from AAA Round Rock when Shin-Soo Choo went down with the calf strain. 0-1. Mazara, that memorable debut against the Angels, a couple of singles, a home run. Takes inside, 2 balls, or I should say 1 ball and 1 strike. The highs and lows of the first 5 games of a big leaguer. Looped into center field. Coming on is Jones. He can't get there. Elvis around third will score. Nomar Mazara. A looping RBI single, and we are back dead even. It's 1-1.
Well, both teams used the blooper in the 3rd inning. The blooper got the Orioles the first base hit. He was driven in with a line shot. Rangers used a walk, and then the blooper by Nomar. Well, got him off the handle. Pitch is out over the plate, too. Maybe hit him off the end of the bat. Whatever it was a little blooper. Fell in front of Adam Jones, and that's a run and an RBI.
It was well placed.
Yes, it was.
Now here's fielder now with Mazara at first.
Not that easy to hit a ball in front of Adam Jones. He makes all the plays out in center field.
Fielder hit the ball sharply to shortstop, his first time up there. Tillman a long look at first, and fielder skies one to left field. Joey Rickard coming on, puts it away. That will do it. But the Rangers come back to tie it. They get a run on a hit and leave one after 3. Rangers 1, Orioles 1. Fox Sports Southwest.
Welcome back to Globe Life Park. Buzz and Tom, you know it's University Days here at Globe Life Park today. It's SMU night, and how about this SMU pony right here? We're talking about Cole Beasley, former SMU football player, but also, of course, plays for the Dallas Cowboys. Got to throw out the first pitch, and what was that like, Cole? A little nervous?
Yeah, I was a little nervous just because I hadn't done it in a while, but it was awesome, man. I'm just glad they asked me to do this, and I just hope I represented SMU well.
Now, you grew up in Little Elm, so you're a Ranger fan. I know that, but you also played baseball. What positions?
I played pitcher and shortstop.
Any aspirations of being a pro baseball player?
No, just because I knew what I wanted to do at a young age. Early in elementary school, I was telling my dad I was going to play pro football, and that's what I got to do. So,
all right, there you go. Well, you got to hang out with a lot of the SMU fans out here tonight, and also Ranger fans. So you're having a pretty good time.
Oh yeah, having a great time. I got all my family with me and a bunch of friends. You know, eating some food and watching the game. It's a blast.
All right, there you go. One other quick question. Let's see, draft coming up. Cowboys pick 4th. Who would you like to see, offense or defensive player?
I don't know, man. Whatever makes us better. I just want to win.
There we go. That's a good answer. All right, how about that? Ooh, look out, Cole. Almost had a dive for that one, huh? All right, good to see you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Cole Beasley.
Thanks, Noxie.
Just don't dive forward.
Well, fortunately, he's got some good hands over there, so he can take care of it. A full count to the leadoff man, Adam Jones, here in the 4th inning, a 1-1 ball game. And up high with a little extra heat. And Cole Hamels gets his first punch out. 1 gone.
Adam Jones is a tough guy to walk. And Cole went out of his way not to give him a strike. He threw it up and out of the strike zone. And on 3-2, he got Adam Jones to chase it.
Well, here's Chris Davis. Davis had a pop up to Adrian Beltre. Breaking ball hangs inside to him. Chris now at 226 for the year. One and one. Go back to the start of 2012. 163 home runs for Chris Davis. Most in Major League Baseball.
Hope the Orioles have the most, and so does Chris Davis. I guess he's the big reason why the Orioles do have the most.
Now, with the year he had last year, he became the first Oriole in the storied franchise of the Baltimore Orioles to have two seasons where he had 40 home runs and 25 doubles.
Wow.
And you're talking about some guys that could hit the ball out of the ballpark in the history of the Oriole franchise, going back to 1954. They moved from St. Louis, and Boog Powell, Frank Robinson. That pitch just missed, and the count has gone full. Now Chris Davis, the cleanup hitter, trying to get aboard here in the 4th inning. Mark Trumbo, the DH, is in the on-deck circle. That ball hit well to center field. Delino retreating, and might have had a little top spin on it, as Delino had to reach down about knee high to grab it. 2 gone. Now looking at Cole, well, he's the subject of our Kubota power stats for tonight. Average through the lineup the first time through, a 250 average and 3 runs given up. That's this year. It gets better. 133 the second time, 182 the third time for Hamels. Now once he gets it dialed in, and I would imagine you'd see numbers like that for a lot of very good pitchers. Number 1, number 2 pitchers on a team, is that they get better once they get settled into the game.
That was definitely true in the opener. He gave up a couple of solo home runs early in the game, and then just shut down Seattle for the last 4 or 5 innings to get that win. A close ball game, went 7 innings to get the win.
That ball's hit well to right field off the bat of Mark Trumbo. Deep to right center, it's gone. Trumbo showing you great opposite field power as he rifles one into the Ranger bullpen. For Trumbo, his 3rd home run of the year, the Orioles take a 2-1 lead.
Trumbo's hot right now when he's swinging the bat. He hits a lot of pitches because he doesn't walk very much either. He can hit the ball out of the strike zone very well. That pitch looked like it was up and away, maybe not a strike. Take another look. And the top of the strike zone, middle of the plate. Yeah, that was a pretty good pitch for Trumbo. Who showed his power lining that into the bullpen.
So for the Orioles, their 15th home run as a team this year. And Trumbo, as we mentioned, his 3rd round tripper. And Matt Wieters with the foul ball has a count of 1-1.
I think that was where Cole was trying to throw it.
No, expressing his displeasure with the location of both the pitch and the result. Trumbo, a great acquisition for the Baltimore Orioles, and well, he's one guy you know is going to get off to a good start. Historically, he's had a great first half of the season, hasn't been able to put the second half together with a good first half very often. Two and two now the count to Matt Wieters. Hamels having second thoughts as he started his windup. Full count. Now Wieters, the 6th hitter in the Baltimore order. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop, is next. Part of the game now. Brian Holiday is going to go out and ask Cole Hamels what he's thinking. This is an area in a game where a starting pitcher going through the lineup for the second time will all of a sudden change the feel of the baseball, how he feels about himself, what's happened lately. He may decide to change a bit, and it's hard for a catcher to pick up on that unless you've worked together a lot. And that's inside for ball 4. Wieters able to work the walk with 2 outs, and Hardy coming up.
Shortstop J.J. Hardy.
Cole Hamels having his first lengthy inning as far as pitch numbers. 21 so far. Hardy, fly ball to center as he led off the 3rd inning here this evening. Belt high strike, 0-1. J.J. Hardy working on a 3-game hitting streak. Left center field, Delino DeShields on his horse into the alley and makes the catch. Good closing speed by Delino DeShields to run down that long drive. And the 4th has come to a close for the Orioles. A run on a hit, 1 left. 3.5 in the books, 2-1 Baltimore. Fans, this Saturday will feature a 7:05 game between these Orioles and your Rangers. It's the first home weekend of the season. The first 15,000 fans, 14 and older, will receive a Texas Ranger pullover jacket. That's courtesy of Globe Life. Get your tickets, TexasRangers.com, or call 972-RANGERS to secure your seats. Now the Rangers come to bat here in the bottom of the fourth now, trailing once again, this time 2-1. Here's Adrian Beltre as he spins out of the way of an inside curveball from Chris Tillman. Adrian fly to deep center field his first time, and Adam Jones ran it down just to the left of dead center field, right on the warning track. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Adrian's had a lot of good swings over the last 4 or 5 days. He's hit the balls in both gaps. Long home run to center field in Anaheim. Home run right down the line in Seattle. 7 of his last 9 hits have been extra base hits. 5 doubles and a couple of home runs.
2-1. Yeah, you know, Tom, you'd mentioned kind of taking Adrian back to the last half of last year when he got on that roll and just didn't let up. This does look very much like the way he was swinging the bat then.
Yeah,
a lot of hard hit balls every time he goes to the plate.
Look at that pitch.
Just missed.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what the numbers were, but it was something like 60 runs batted in the last 55 or 60 games. That might be as far outside as we've seen in a while.
Yeah. Tillman standing out there and saying, how could he take that pitch?
That ball would have bounced about 2 feet behind a left-hand hitter.
Adrian calling time just to make sure. And a tapper foul, 3-2.
Yeah, Adrian was hot last year at that time, and there was a number of other guys that were hot too. Shin-Soo was just about as hot as Adrian.
Tillman with a payoff pitch. Shallow right center field. Reimold coming on. 1 gone for Mitch Moreland.
First baseman, Mitch Moreland.
You know, Mitch, foul pop to the third baseman. Manny Machado was first time up. Brief talk with Tillman listening to Matt Wieters. That 2-seam fastball with pretty good run to it from Tillman for a strike.
Yeah, I think it ran right out of the strike zone. It looked like it was going to be a strike, and that late movement brought it, as you can see, number 1 right there, just a little bit outside.
Got home plate umpire Paul Emmel looking. Mitch, a drive to right center. In a hurry, Reimold, he slides kind of early to make the catch, but he did make the catch indeed.
And Mitch golfed that ball. He got it off the good part of the bat, too. It's a little bit out in front of it. I'm not sure whether Reimold wanted to catch it that way or he thought it was going to be a little lower than that. He starts to slide. I think that ball's a little higher than he thought it was going to be. Almost hit him right in the head. That ball hit right off the heel of his glove. Somehow it stayed in his glove. Could easily have caromed away based on where it hit.
Ian Desmond takes ball 1. Might he have had a little trouble with the lights too?
Could be.
That way?
Could be.
It just looked awkward going down that early. 2 balls and no strikes. Desmond, a little topper back to the mound his first time. That average now for Ian right at 100. 3-0. Tillman has given up 1 walk tonight. And he fires a strike. 3-1 to Desmond. Chris Tillman approaching 60 pitches. This next one will be number 59 this evening. Pop foul. That will be back and out of play.
A good swing. Looking for a fastball. Got one up and in. Had a good rip at it.
So full count if Desmond can continue this 4th inning by getting aboard. Rougned Odor is swinging a bat, getting ready. Another pop foul. That's over the Ranger dugout.
3 pitches in a row right there.
See the wheels turning at almost every at bat now for Ian Desmond. I would imagine he's trying to do everything he possibly can not to try and do too much. That's kind of a tough task, though, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah,
Hits this one well to right, but it's playable for Reimold.
You're getting a streak like this. He's probably never been in a streak like this. You're battling the best you can every time you go up there, and it's just not happening yet.
3 up, 3 down. We'll go to the 5th inning. 2-1 Baltimore. Baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Transparency, low fares, and nothing to hide. And by Mazda. In every car we make, you'll see why driving matters. Very nice night out here at Globe Life Park. Temperature in the low 70s, and Cole Hamels going to work. Jonathan Scope, the number 8 hitter, takes ball 1. It'll be Scope, Reimold, and Rickard. Orioles leading 2-1. They have out-hit the Rangers 3-2. The appeal down to first base, and Jordan Baker said, "Nah, he didn't swing." 1 ball and 1 strike. Scope, a ground ball to his counterpart, Rougned Odor, first time up. Scope, kind of a tall, rangy second baseman. Doesn't really look like a middle infielder.
No, he doesn't.
The classic middle infielder. And he bangs one off the mound into center field for a base hit. It looked like a curveball from Cole that stayed up a bit. And Scope took advantage. Well, the leadoff man aboard for the Orioles.
Yeah, Scope's a pretty good guy batting down at the bottom of the order because he's got some power. He's hit 15 or 16 home runs a couple of times. Still a young, developing player.
First pitch in at the shoe tops of Nolan Reimold. 1 ball and no strikes. Reimold looped in a double to right field with 2 outs in the 3rd inning, and that got the bad stuff started that frame. It was followed by a ringing double from Joey Rickard. 1-1. Rangers looking for that double play ball. One and two. Reimold's seen almost a handful of those from Cole Hamels tonight. That changeup working its way away from him, and he so far hasn't had any success against it. Able to lay off at that time. The count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cole Hamels, 70th pitch of the night. And he's ready for number 71. Hit well to left field. Desmond going back. Still retreating. Leaps up. He can't get it. It's off the wall. Schoop had to hold up, so he will motor into 3rd base, into 2nd with a double off the base of the wall is Nolan Reimold.
A couple of doubles for Reimold. One was a blooper, and that was hit hard. That was a line drive. Couple of hard hit balls to start the inning. Schoop took advantage of a curveball that stayed up and smoked a ground ball to center field. Ball's down, bottom of the strike zone. And Reimold stays right with it and hit it well just past the glove of Ian Desmond. Well, he got high enough. Ball was just a little bit to the other side of the glove.
Well, 2nd and 3rd, nobody out at the top of the order for Baltimore now. And Joey Rickard fouls it off on a check swing. Reimold, his 3rd double of the year. 3 out of the 5 hits that he has had have gone for extra bases. Over at 3rd, Jonathan Schoop. Rangers playing the infield back with nobody out. A ball and a strike. And Morgan at first, well off the line, and they will play 3 or 4 steps around to the left for Rickard. Rickard's 1 out of 2 with a double. 2-1. Joey Rickard now 11 out of 33 for the season. Pokes that one out of play to the right, and the count evens. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Cole trying to come up with a pitch to get a strikeout right here. Ground ball scores a run. Fly ball scores a run.
See what the veteran left-hander comes up with. Tried the inside corner and got it.
That'll get a strikeout.
Call strike 3, and Rickard trying to turn out of the way to maybe encourage Paul Emmel to call it inside, and he did not. That is a big strikeout for Cole Hamels. 1 away.
And the changeup sets up the pitch inside. Well, Rickard had a little bit of a beef right there.
But as a young player, he didn't beef. He just went back to the dugout. Probably like a young player should.
First pitch to Manny Machado, and a nice stop by Brian Holiday. Rickard might go back to the bench and complain to a couple of teammates, but he wasn't going to say anything to Paul Hemmel, which is a good idea.
He was off to a great start for a Rule 5 draft pick, meaning he was on a AAA roster at the winter meetings. Eligible to be drafted with a stipulation he has to stay in the big leagues. The way he's playing, that won't be a problem.
Yeah, he won the starting job in left field in spring training.
Yeah, kind of like, well, Delano didn't win it coming out of spring training, but he earned it as the season went on. This kid won it coming out of spring training.
Beltre, that'll keep Scope at third, and Adrian triggers the throw across. Machado is out, corner to corner. And a very big second out without any damage done. Here comes Adam Jones.
I'll say, you got two guys that are hot. Rickard came into the game hitting .323. Machado was hitting .440. They both come up with men on second and third, less than 2 outs in the infield all the way back. And so far unable to get that run in. Adrian about even with the bag. Obviously they can't go on a ball hit right straight to third, but the other guys are back. Now one more tough out, Adam Jones.
Jones out on a great play by Elvis the first time up. Slices that out of play to the right. Nothing in one. Elvis went deep in the hole and actually slid to stop. Got up and threw him out by an eyelash.
Man brought a glove with his family and cashed in.
Young man was pretty happy that he got that baseball.
I couldn't tell whether he was happy with the ball or whatever he was eating.
Strike 2 to Jones.
Yeah, there's a smile. Now he's happy.
As long as he's happy, it can be either one. That's fine. Nothing at 2. The crowd now trying to get their support behind Cole Hamels. 0-2.
Boy, he can make contact on a lot of pitches.
That's the Adrian Beltre school of.
Kind of like Adrian. Adrian had the all-timer yesterday, though. When he fouled that pitch off, it literally was over his head.
Yeah.
That took it to a different level. I don't know that I can remember Vladimir Guerrero even hitting one or making contact on a ball hitting a pitch that high, hitting one that was that high.
It looked like those trick shot artists that do stuff in golf, put the tee way up high. And
let's see if it would hit this. It didn't go fair, but just touching the ball with a bat was pretty amazing.
Got him swinging. And Holiday will finish it off with a throw to first. A great job by Cole Hamels. Working around second and third and nobody out. The Orioles strand him. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. Halfway through the game. 2-1 Baltimore. Post-game fireworks show of 2016 is taking place right here tomorrow night. Follows the Orioles-Rangers game, and it's courtesy of TXU Energy. Fans using the online coupon code FIREWORKS can get tickets for just $15. Visit TexasRangers.com to get your tickets for a Friday night tradition. Well, let's see if the Rangers take a little of that mojo in that Cole Hamels created by working out of that jam and turn it into some offense.
And a night where the hits are hard to get. That was huge for Cole to get out of a second and third no-out jam. That was some great pitching.
Rougned Odor shooting one out of play down the left side. He's now down on the count 0-2. That ever applied it? Can you remember in a ball game where that applied to when you played in, where the pitcher got a strikeout or got out of a big jam and immediately it turned into you guys swinging the bats?
You know, I can't remember one in particular, but
how about Odor swinging
looks
the
like
bat?
it might be happening right here.
Yeah. Rougned decided that's true. He's going to stop at second. Well, the tying run now in scoring position with nobody out as Rougned Odor plasters a double into the corner.
Yeah, I can't remember a game where it led to that, but I do remember plenty of times where Fergie Jenkins, Gaylord Perry, you're pitching in a pitcher's duel. The other team's got a rally going. They make some great pitches, get out of an inning, and you definitely come off the field pumped up and with a lot of energy. And, you know, invariably someone on the bench will scream, let's get a run for him. But you didn't have to yell that when Gaylord was pitching. Gaylord would yell at himself. He wouldn't say get a run for him. He'd say something I can't repeat about getting a run.
Basically, get a run for me, right?
Yeah. Gaylord, night before, Gaylord said, all right, all you regulars, get your rest tonight. Meaning I'm pitching tomorrow. You better be ready.
Big game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now Elvis at the plate. Anders drew a walk and scored his first time. I'm talking with Spike Owen, the third base coach for the Rangers. Elvis probably given the latitude to get Rougned Odor over to third base any way he feels comfortable. Rougned carrying the tying run in this ball game.
Well, he's got Chris Davis way in at first base. And not a bad idea to try to shoot a ground ball right by him. Chris is a good fielder, but take away his range when you're playing that close to the hitter. He's drifting back a little bit right now. You're going to bunt. In this particular case, I'd bunt it toward third.
Into the hole, and now Rougned caught off. And he's going to have to stay in the rundown long enough for Elvis to get to second. He does. But that is a very big first out.
Well, Elvis was trying to hit the ball the other way. It looked like he got an off-speed pitch and pulled it. The fact that Rougned got stuck off a second base really didn't matter because Elvis hustled to second. If Rougned stays at second, I don't know. You think Hardy could have made that play on Elvis? I don't know.
Would have been close.
Yeah, he might have been first and second and nobody out. I was thinking he was going to throw him out anyway, but as good as Hardy is, where he fields that ball, it's going to be hard for him to get anything on the throw. That might have been a first and second no out situation. I was thinking if he threw it to first base, you've got a man on second and one out anyway.
Right.
But that might have been first and second and nobody out.
But as it is, man on second with one out for Brian Holiday. Holiday a fly ball to left his first time, and he takes ball one from Tillman. Now the Rangers had a rough time on the base paths in yesterday's game too. Ran into a couple of outs. And one-oh pitch. Brian Holiday this spring really lit it up with the Tigers, and he was in a position with Detroit where Jared Saltalamacchia was in camp trying to win a backup role, and the Tigers decided to go with the veteran more so than Brian Holiday. And Detroit willing to part with Holiday to the Rangers for cash considerations. Elvis at second base. Rangers a scoring position this year, the batting average at .271. Go off to a much better start this year in that category than they were last. This one popped up on the infield. And Machado makes the grab. 2 gone. And before Delino steps in, let's send it back over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you.
Boy, there's a lot of young guys doing great things in baseball these days. Pitchers, fielders, and hitters. So many good young players between the ages of 20 and 25.
And here's one of them right here. Delino done a pretty good job. Tender age of 23. Guy that was a Rule 5 draft pick last year. Tom, as you mentioned, he didn't make the starting lineup right out of spring training, but it wasn't too long thereafter. May 4th is when he worked his way into the lineup because of an injury to Leonis Martin and just wouldn't leave. He became the Rangers' everyday center fielder from that point on. Down in the count here, no balls and 2 strikes. Elvis with a pretty good lead out there at second. Weeder's able to keep that ball in front of him, and Elvis not taking any chances. Matt Wieters very agile behind the plate, but also with the size that he has, he provides a great target. A lot of pitchers like to have a big catcher back there. They feel like if you just get his throw to his body, it looks like you can get a strike anytime you want it. One and 2 to Delino. We'll try it again. Tillman reaching back for a little extra. He's pumping up a couple of miles an hour and gotten into trouble. Check a second for Tillman. And Delino protecting that outside corner. The Shields 1 for 2 tonight. Singled back in the first inning, grounded to short in the third. And again, a pitch in the dirt. 2-2 the count. Well, Elvis with his secondary lead. The 2 pitches in the dirt, had they gotten off to either side of Wieters just a little bit, Elvis would have taken off for third. He's the best in the ball club at anticipating that ball in the dirt and getting a great jump when it caroms away just ever so slightly from the catcher. Up the middle off the foot of Tillman. Everybody's going to be safe. Elvis back to third. They got him on the throw. Oh, my. An infield single for Delino to Shields. Elvis caught rounding third just a little bit too far, and we're going to hang on here for a second. Jeff Bannister out of the Ranger dugout said, wait a minute, we might want to challenge that. Here's what they're going to take a look at. Boy, that's close. That's a lot closer than I thought it was.
Me too.
Well, they're going to issue the challenge now. The call on the field is out. And again, the folks back at Replay Command Center take that into account, and they need to have clear and convincing video evidence that that call is incorrect to overturn it. If there's not enough video evidence to do that, then the call would stand as out. Well, the headset on with Mike Everett, the third base umpire, and crew chief made that call, and Paul Ilmo, the home plate umpire. Look, it looks like Elvis might have gotten the hand back just in time. I couldn't, you can't tell from there where the fingers are, if they're up in the air as he makes contact with the bag or not. And that might be the deciding factor.
Yeah,
you can't tell.
Tough one. I don't know how you can overturn it based on the replay.
Yeah. A little bit different angle. Elvis reaching between the legs of Machado.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get. I don't think it's going to get overturned.
Yeah, they're taking plenty of time back in New York. Replay Command Center to look at all the various angles, the expanded angles, slow-mo angles.
The longer it goes, the better chance you got.
Yeah.
Means they're not sure.
What do we have? Three of them yesterday, didn't we? The game in Seattle.
Yeah.
We had one take 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and one took 35 seconds. When it takes 35 seconds, you can pretty well figure that it's very decisive what the video showed. But they're taking the time here to really pour over the video input that they have. All Elvis and the Rangers can do is hang on and hope that there's enough there to overturn the call.
Yeah, it looked like it was going to be a base hit up the middle till it hit Tillman's foot.
And headsets now coming off. And the call is out at third. No. Elvis caught rounding the bag too far. The Ranger fifth comes to a close. No runs on 2 hits and 1 left after 5. Orioles 2, Rangers 1 on Fox Sports Southwest.
Back to Globe Life Park. This was a scene before the game, Buzz and Tom. The Fox Sports Fan Express rolling in from the big town of Dallas, Texas. You bet, and on board, plenty of students at SMU having a good time at the ballpark. Also partnered up with Fox Sports University. Tess, what is this about?
Well, we've had the privilege of working with Fox Sports Southwest We're in a marketing practicum class, and we're basically creating some digital and social media campaigns for the brand.
Nice. So we got some big campaigns coming out, huh? We want to reveal any of these?
No.
Top secret, right? Okay.
Top secret. There are 5 teams, and we're working against each other, kind of. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
We look forward to that. Good to have you guys out here. By the way, University Days continue tomorrow night, Buzz, with TCU in the house. How about that, SMU? Oh, I didn't like that. More information, go to texasrangers.com/udays and look for your school coming here to the ballpark. Buzz?
All right, Knoxy, thank you. Well, the Orioles batting here in the top of the 6th inning. Chris Davis leading things off as Hamels comes back with a 2-1 pitch. And that little chopper foul will even the count. Davis tonight has popped out to third and skied to center field. Chris, the Longview, Texas native. Three balls, 2 strikes. Davis hitting 4th to be followed by Mark Trumbo. And he lost him, ball 4. Second walk given by Hamels tonight. First time he issued a leadoff walk. Fans, the first 10,000 at Globe Life Park tonight received the first edition of the Papa John's Throwback Thursday pins. And next Thursday's pin is a tribute to the Rangers' first AL West Division title. That was back in 1996. Be one of the first 10,000 fans in the park next Thursday. Watch the Rangers take on the Astros, and you can pick up this very special collectible. Tickets are available at texasrangers.com, or you can call 972-RANGERS. Now, 1 on, nobody out. Here's Trumbo, who homered into the Ranger bullpen his last time up. Nothing and 2 as Hamels jumps out in front of Trumbo.
Trumbo will definitely expand the strike zone. You can still hit the ball hard if it's out of the strike zone, if it's just a little bit out of the strike zone. He's a scary hitter when he's on a good streak. He's got power, as we saw, to all fields. His home run went to the bullpen in right center field. He thought about it.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that has kind of a straightaway stance, maybe just a hair open, but he strides a little more toward third base, so the inside part of the plate is very open to him, and yet he covers the outside part very well. So that's difficult when the guy has power, and he does that. Our 4 leaderboard talking about the home run leaders, teams in the American League. Baltimore with their 15th tonight. Now a 1 home run lead over the Houston Astros and Seattle Mariners. Slowly hit down the third baseline, and we'll come back and try it again at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And most of the time you get a power hitter up there and you figure, okay, I can go one side of the plate or the other. He's probably not going to have power on both sides, but a guy like Trumbo does. And when he opens up that front side, taking that first step, it's a scary proposition to think about throwing a fastball in there. Because if you miss, you say that could go a long way. 3-2. Well, for the second straight hitter now, Hamels has gone to a full count. Trumbo hitting 5th. Matt Wieters, the catcher, follows him in the order. Call strike 3.
He didn't expand the zone that time. He took some tough pitches and then took strike 3. Good pitch right on the inside corner. Cole had a couple of very quick innings in the first and second. A rather long inning since then. That's a big strike out of Trumbo, and that ball was right on the inside corner, right where Cole wanted it.
I think Hamels' ability to throw that cutter in on a right-hander sets that pitch up nicely for him. Well, 1 away, that is strikeout number 4 for Hamels. Here's Wieters, who has flied out and walked. 1 ball and no strikes. Wieters currently hitting an even 200. 6 runs driven in. Two and 0. Tom Wilhelmsen out of the Ranger bullpen, ready if needed.
This will be pitch number 100 for Cole.
And it is a strike on the inside corner. Rangers hoping for that double play grounder. 2-2. And again, the crowd starting to make some noise to get behind Cole Hamels. 3-2. All 3 hitters in this inning have gone to full counts against Cole. Matt Wieters the latest. He is the number 6 hitter. J.J. Hardy, the shortstop, is next. Shot down the right field line. It's headed toward the corner. Mazzara going into the corner to dig it out. Stopping at third is Davis. An opposite field double by Matt Wieters. And the Orioles have second and third with 1 out for J.J. Hardy.
Shortstop J.J. Hardy.
Pitch down, probably out of the strike zone. Looked like a kind of a 3/4 swing. Pitch well out of the strike zone, as a matter of fact. Somehow Wieters was able to slap that right down the right field line. He was kind of surprised where that ball ended up.
Jeff Bannister made a very quick trip out to the mound. He's got that that clock ticking on him, and he gets in under the 30-second maximum. Setting up the defense, trying to decide what Cole wants to do with Hardy. Rangers going to pull the infield all the way in. Second and third with 1 out. Hardy tonight has skied out to center field a couple of times. Hamels working from the stretch with runners at second and third. And missed with that changeup. 2-0. You got to be careful with a guy like Hardy. If you trying to pitch around him and decide you're going to throw an off-speed pitch when you're behind, you very likely can look for it. Desmond can't make the play. He short hops it. Davis will score. On to third goes Wieters, and J.J. Hardy with an RBI single makes it a 3-1 Baltimore lead. And that is going to do it for Cole Hamels. So J.J. Hardy, an RBI base hit, his 6th run driven in this year, gives the Orioles a 2-run advantage here in the 6th inning. And Cole Hamels finished for the night after 5 1/3. So a pitching change underway here at Globe Life Park. Tom Wilhelmsen coming in from the Ranger bullpen. We'll tell you about Tom when we come back right after this timeout. had his streak of 6+ innings of work in starts for the Rangers come to a close tonight. 5 1/3, 7 hits, 3 runs so far. He's got responsibility for the 2 runners on base, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. And he gives way to the 32-year-old right-hander Tom Wilhelmsen. Tom appearing in his 4th ball game. I've not seen Wilhelmsen since the series out in Anaheim. He worked the first game out there against the Angels, inning in 2/3. On here to face Jonathan Schoop with the runners at the corners and 1 out. And Schoop takes a strike. Schoop had a base hit to center in the 5th inning. Well, the Orioles 3 runs on 7 hits this evening. Double play ground ball. Elvis to Odor. Back to Moreland. 6-4-3. 15th double play of the year turned by the Ranger defense. And Wilhelmsen is out of it without any further damage. A run on 2 hits, 1 left. It is 3-1 Baltimore. It's time now for the Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $700 and dinner for 2 at Sonic Drive-In. If a Ranger hits a home run during this inning, Julie Coleman from Victoria will win $700. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Julie is going to win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. Well, the Rangers could use a couple slams. Nomar Mazara, Prince Fielder, and Adrian Beltre. So hang on, Julie. I think you've got a shot with these hitters coming up in the middle of the Ranger order. And there's a shot to the gap in right center field. It is going to go to the wall, and Mazara, steaming into second, is going to put the brakes on. Oh, Nomar with the Mazaras in attendance. Mom and Dad, and we've had a lot of family gatherings lately. Up in Seattle with...
That's still one of my favorite things to watch, is the reaction of the mom and dad. Nice hit by Nomar right there. He smoked that ball. Had a blooper to drive in a run. That looked like a changeup inside part of the plate that he smoked into right center field. Well, Rangers only a 3-1 ball game. They did a great job of pitching out of jams. 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. Cole got out of that one. Tom Wilhelmsen got a double play grounder, 1st and 3rd, and 1 out. So Rangers are hanging tight. It's only a 2-run game.
And Prince Fielder pops it up. Schoop, the second baseman, is backpedaling. Well, Prince pops out on the first pitch he sees. Now Adrian Beltre will face Tillman. Prince a little frustrated with his 3 at bats tonight. He's got that look on his face like, you've got to be kidding me.
Well, he was trying to pull the ball. so that if he did hit a ground ball, he'd get the runner over. He just tried to pull it, got underneath it, and ended up popping it up.
Beltre tonight has flied to deep center and flied to right. 0 for 2. Batting average now at .293. Here's a base hit to center field. Mazzara is going to be held at third base as Jones got to the ball quickly. Adrian with a base hit. First and third with one out. Mitch Moreland coming up. Got a couple of rockets off the Ranger bats in this frame.
Hit that ball so hard that Mazzara couldn't score from second. Spike Owen went all the way down the line, looked at it as long as he could, and then had to hold Mazzara up. Wasn't an exceptionally strong throw, but he got it in quickly. All right, Mitch, here we go.
Be a great time for Mitch's first home run, and Julie Coleman down in Victoria would not mind that. Win her $700 in our Sonic Slam inning. Ball one. Mitch tonight is lined to right field and fouled out to third. Mazzara down at third, Beltre at first. Rangers trailing 3-1 at the moment. Wieters flashing out the signs. Tillman picks one out. And Moreland gets it high in the air down the left field line. Long run for Rickard. It's going to fall for a base hit. And it gets by Rickard. So that allows Beltre to go to third. Into second as the Rangers decide to use a blooper or two. Mitch Moreland, the RBI double. It's a 3-2 game. And the tying and go-ahead runs are at third and second.
That ball was up in the air for a long time, too. I thought it was going to hook foul. Slice foul, stayed fair, and no one could get to it. Rickard's playing out in left field. None of the infielders were near it. So a ball with a lot of hang time falls in. No shift was on. You see Hardy sprinting after it. He just couldn't get to it.
Moreland drives in his second run. He's carrying the go-ahead run out at second base. Beltre with a tying run at third. And here's Ian Desmond. The infield now will pull all the way in. Nothing in one. A great spot for Ian to bust out of an 0 for 16. Michael Gibbons loosening now in the Oriole bullpen. Desmond, a tapper back to the mound, a fly ball to right. Gets fisted. That's going to get the job done. Davis has no play as he looked at Beltre coming down the line and couldn't get the ball out of his glove. And on a little squibber in the infield, Ian Desmond gets the ball game tied at 3.
Well, Rangers hit a couple of ropes to start it off, and then a blooper and a little jam shot that Chris Davis couldn't make up his mind. He thought he might have a play at the plate, but Adrian got a good jump. Turned out he didn't have a play at the plate, and then it turned out he didn't have a place anywhere. Watch Adrian at third base. He gets a good jump. Davis thinks about it. Might as well have thrown it. He had no other play.
Adrian's going to say after the ball game, that's what speed does for you, right? So Ian Desmond snaps an 0 for 16 with that infield single, gets the ball game tied. And still with one out now, the Rangers have runners at first and second. And Rougned Odor coming up.
You know, but it's not speed. Obviously, Adrian doesn't have the speed that he used to have. But it was good base running because he got a good jump.
Yep.
You know, he could have stutter stepped and stayed there. He could have waited and got thrown out. But without a big jump at third, as far as a lead goes,
Odor going the other way. It's hit into the corner. It's down. Moreland will score. Here comes Desmond. Here comes the throw. He's safe. Into third goes Odor. The Rangers have the lead at 5-3.
Boy, Ian was flying around the bases. Orioles did a good job getting the ball to the cutoff man. Hardy has a very strong and accurate arm. He made a good throw, but there's a good display of Desmond's speed as he got around the bases. Well, the Rangers had a couple of soft hits, but they've had some hard ones too. The first two hits, a single, a double and a single, were hit hard. This double by Odor was sliced very hard down the line. There's Desmond sliding home safely just ahead of the throw, and he needed every bit of his speed to beat that throw.
Well, and you're right, Tom. He had the afterburners on going around second and around third. He got there in no time flat. And that's going to do it for Chris Tillman, who gives up 4 consecutive hits with 1 out here in the 6th inning. And he will leave, and Michael Gibbons is coming on. So the Rangers have struck for 4 runs, and they've still got property on the base paths. We'll take a timeout. We're back to Globe Life Park right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Fans, Fox Sports Southwest wants you to show your Horned Frog pride at a Rangers game. Get discounted tickets for tomorrow's game against the Orioles, and the first 2,000 fans with a TCU ticket at the park get a free Rangers cap in TCU colors. Go to TexasRangers.com/TCU for details. Well, Michael Gibbons, the 25-year-old, on now, and facing Elvis Andrus, who goes after that first pitch. It is strike 1. Oriole infield pulled all the way in. Chris Tillman's got to feel like, what in the world hit me? Tillman kind of zipping along, had a 3-1 lead entering the 6th inning. Gave up a double to Mazzara, got an out, and now Elvis pounds one to center for a base hit. Odor scores. 6-3 Texas.
Turn that 95-mile-an-hour fastball around. That's the hardest ball Elvis has hit this year. That was a bullet.
Well, the Ranger offense came to life here in the 6th inning.
Man, that was a quick strike offense, too. Boy, he turned that fastball around. Inside part of the plate. Smash. Gibbons tried to catch it. He didn't flinch at all. Got his glove up.
The 6 consecutive, make that 5 consecutive hits. They had 2 doubles and 3 singles. Elvis, the latest, is aboard. Brian Holiday is the hitter now, the number 9 man. Holiday has flied out and popped out this evening.
Givens was a position player his first few years in professional baseball. He's got a good arm. Struck out 38 guys in 30 innings after he was called up last year to the big leagues.
Yeah, another one of the guys that signed as a shortstop and converted because of the arm strength.
Yep. Rangers have one of those. We saw him at spring training, Matt Bush.
Yep.
He throws 95 to 98 miles an hour.
0-1. Holiday waiting. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we saw Matt Bush touch 100 down in Surprise
That's
that
right.
one day.
That's right.
And speaking of touching 100, how about Keone Kelly? He's getting ready in the Ranger bullpen. Givens working on Elvis over there at first base. Brian Holiday hitting in his own backyard right here at Globe Life Park. 1-1. Well, Elvis, the RBI single, and he now has 6 runs driven in this year. 5 runs this inning for the Rangers, ties a season high. Did that in Seattle this last road series.
Elvis off to a good start. Walk and a hit, scored a run, drove in a run. Came into the game hitting .357.
One and 2 to Holiday. Still just 1 out here in the 6th inning. Elvis the lead from first. Givens in the minor league system for 3 years as a shortstop. Decided he would probably be better off trying to throw the slider instead of hitting it. Which
there's a lot of guys that way, but they didn't have his arm. They couldn't do it.
Exactly. He had the option, and a lot of guys don't.
I'd be better off throwing it than hitting it. Problem is, I can't throw either.
That ball in the dirt. It gets all the way to the backstop. Down to second goes Elvis. Weeder's trying to backhand that, and it got by him. Givens gives up the wild pitch.
Well, he held him close at first. Unfortunately, wild pitched him to second.
And the crowd has come to life along with the Ranger offense. There we are, enjoying this outburst. 3-2. And Holiday eyeballing that pitch inside. So Holiday, the number 9 hitter, trying to get aboard in front of the leadoff man, Delino to Shields. Popped up, way up in the air, coming back Matt Wieters, but that's back about 7 rows. Brian doing a little talking to himself, having a conversation. Okay, what do we expect here? I'm going to get it, and here's how I'm going to attack it. Two outs.
Givens has the mid-90s fastball. He's got a nice slider, too. Tough location in that one.
Just the second strikeout by Orioles pitching tonight. Gibbons with his first, and Delino to Shields is the 9th Ranger to come to the plate in this inning. Delino is 2 for 3. He had an infield single last time up. Takes ball 1. Got Elvis Andrus out at second. Rangers with 5 runs across here in the 6th inning. Delino trying to make it an even half dozen. One and one. We talked about it on the road trip, and the Ranger offense showed signs at times against the opening series in Seattle. When they got on the road, though, they were showing more and more signs. It finally broke loose the 3rd game against the Angels and just kept it going. Starting to get timely hits, starting to draw more hits. They had 14 hits in that 3rd game against the Angels, and they found a way to get it going. I guess it's contagious. Get a couple guys going, and everybody else wants to join the party. One and 2 to Delino. Got him swinging. No back-to-back strikeouts. Gibbons gets out of the inning, but the Rangers put a 5er on the board. 5 runs on 6 hits. They strand 1 after 6. It's the Rangers 6 and the Orioles 3. Tonight's 4-game summary. Nomar Mazara dumping in a single to drive home the first Ranger run as Elvis able to score. And then Mark Trumbo put the Orioles back on top. His 3rd home run of the year, a solo blast into the Ranger bullpen. And then Rougned Odor got the Rangers out in front with that 2-run double into the left field corner. Rangers add another one. It's 6-3 now as we head to the top of the 7th inning, and Keone Kela has come out of the bullpen to take over for the Rangers. No, Tom Williamson, who came in to get the double play grounder to end the 6th inning, gives way to Keone Kela, appearing in his 5th ball game. Kela last time out gave up a couple of runs to the Seattle Mariners up in Seattle. Kela working to Nolan Reimold. One ball and 2 strikes. Reimold tonight perfect at the plate, a pair of doubles. One to right in the 3rd and one to left in the 5th. Got him swinging.
Good breaking ball. Boy, he's got a good overhand curveball.
That is the hammer. That's what he was trying to do with Nelly Cruz the other night when Cruz got one up a little bit and sent it out of the ballpark.
Yeah, he kept that one down and away. Good pitch. There's a lot of guys nowadays that can throw 95 miles an hour. That really doesn't distinguish the guy from another, but when you can throw 95 or 96 and then add that pitch right there, that's the old equalizer.
Yeah, that's the knee buckler.
Yep. And you know, we saw Matt Bush. You mentioned he was throwing 100 miles an hour. He also showed a pretty good curveball. So you know, he's a good young bullpen prospect with more than just a fastball.
Top of the order, Joey Rickard. 1 for 3 this evening, an RBI 2-bagger. Rickard's double came back in the 3rd inning, along with his 4th RBI.
Pretty good eye by the kid right there to lay off that one.
The 2-1 pitch on the way. Keone last year, 68 appearances, and called it very much a learning experience about how to handle himself, how to manage himself. By far and away the most that he had ever pitched in 1 year. Not only appearance-wise, but innings-wise too. He said it was always something new to learn about himself. Full count to Rickard. And we'll try the 3-2 again. Rickard trying to get aboard with 1 out. Manny Machado, the 3rd baseman, waiting to be next. Rangers 6 runs on 10 hits tonight. 5 runs on 6 hits in that 6th inning. Baltimore 3 runs on 7 hits. Inside and got the bottom hit the knob of the bat.
Sure did.
Now that's pinpoint control if you can do that.
Breaking ball got away from him. Would have been ball 4. Might have hit him. Instead, watch where this thing hits. Right on the bottom of the bat. And the umpire can tell because that made a different noise than it would have if it hit his hand.
Yeah. And another foul ball. Keone just about ready to turn 23. He'll turn 23 on. Let's see, that's on Saturday, 16th. Ball shot foul to the right. Pretty good tussle between these two. Kellis setting for another 3-2 pitch. Call strike 3. At the top of the strike zone. And Rickard took it for out number 2. Now let's take a look at tonight's Jimmy John's delivery of the ball game.
Second and third, nobody out. Key part of the game. Cole gets a strikeout, a ground out, and a strikeout. Second and third, nobody out, gets out of the inning. First and third, one out. The next inning, Tom Wilhelmsen gets the ground ball double play to get out of an inning. So you kind of look at that, Buzz, as maybe a subtle key to the game. In spite of the offense that the Rangers showed in the 6th inning to get 5 runs, it's a different ball game if Cole Hamels and Tom Wilhelmsen don't snuff out those rallies in the middle of the ball game.
Yeah, that 5-run rally might not have caught you up if that had gotten out of whack earlier.
Yeah, and you don't know exactly what would have happened, but if they scored a couple of runs there and had a 5-1 lead instead of a 3-1 lead, maybe Tillman makes different pitches. You don't know exactly what would have happened. But it definitely was a key part of the defense tonight. The pitchers being able to get out of those jams.
Now, Machado at first with the base hit, and that one glanced off the bare hand of Keone Keller right to Rougned Odor. Goes 1-4-3 on the putout. Keone smiling, so no damage done. No runs, a hit, 1 left. We'll take the stretch in Arlington. 6-3 Rangers. Kids 13 and under at Globe Life Park this Sunday will be treated to a pair of Delino to Shield socks. That's courtesy of Powerade Zero. Bring the whole family on out here to Globe Life Park and watch the Rangers take on the Orioles. It's the first Sunday matchup of the season. You can visit TexasRangers.com or call 972 Rangers to get your tickets. The Ranger fans happy about the way things have gone here the last inning and a half. Rangers coming to bat in the bottom of the 7th, and T.J. McFarland on now to work, the 26-year-old left-hander at Orland Park, Illinois. 4th appearance of the year for McFarland. Part of that bullpen that's really done a good job, as Tom told you, for these Baltimore Orioles. Their bullpen up among the league leaders in ERA. They're down about 160. Going the other way, Mazzara skies to left field, so Nomar now 2 out of 4 after that fly ball out. Bring up Prince Fielder.
Well, he's been right in the middle of the rallies the Rangers have had. He started one drove in a run in the 3rd, and then started one with a double. A couple of big hits.
We haven't had a big sample of Mazzara hitting against left-handers, but a few at bats, and boy, it sure looks like he's got a chance for a left-handed hitter to be able to handle left-handed pitchers pretty well.
I wouldn't envision that as a problem either.
Now with nobody on, the Orioles going to a shift. TJ McFarland, not quite the fastball of some other Orioles we've seen tonight. So they'll play Prince Fielder well around to the right in the overshift. Prince has flied out, popped out, and grounded out. 0 for 3 tonight. And McFarland missing on that pitch. It's 1-2. Got him swinging. Marlin pulling the string and gets the strikeout. 2 away. Adrian Beltre will be next. And before Adrian steps in, let's send it over to Dana Larson for a Chevy game break. All right, Dana, thank you.
Well, the experts said Kansas City couldn't do that again this year, just like they did last year. Yeah. It looks like they're off to a pretty good start. They're 7-2 now.
The Astros won the first game of that series, and the Royals came back and won the rest of them. And Beltre had a big single and a run scored in that 5-run outburst last inning. Adrian 1 for 3. That average now at .310 as he faces McFarland. Back into the seats. 2-1. I'm not going to jinx Adrian by saying, you know, this is the first time in a while he's been healthy in the month of April. But it is.
Well,
it's good to see.
I think Adrian would agree with you on that. Probably feels good to feel the way he does.
And ever since spring training, in the last couple of years, he's had leg problems in spring training. They've kind of carried over. And this year, he went through a camp with no major problems. And that's a nice feeling for him to have. 3-2 with 2 outs. So Beltre trying to extend this 7th inning. Mitch Moreland in the on-deck circle. Inside, ball 4, and Adrian takes the walk. Well, 1 on 2 out. Here comes Mitch, and Moreland got the scoring opened in that 6th inning with a double. He lofted a towering fly ball down the left field line that fell in maybe 4 or 5 feet into fair territory and out of the reach of all the Orioles that were in pursuit. So Mitch now with a couple of RBI this year. Nothing in 1. A pretty good hack by Mitch. Going after that first TJ McFarland offering. 22,820 on hand here tonight. First of 4 with the Orioles. Hardy ranging way over past where the second baseman usually is and throws out Mitch. So side retired, no runs, no hits. The Walker left stranded. We're going to the 8th inning at Globe Life Park in Arlington. Rangers leading 6-3.
Buzz and Tom, time for the progressive fan of the game. We got to give it to Kyle. He's got a bachelor party going on here, well-behaved bachelor party, but you couldn't ask for a better place, right, Kyle?
Couldn't rather be at a better place than a Ranger game, celebrating my very well-behaved bachelor party with my nephews, best friend, my dad, my brother-in-law, having a great time.
Congratulations on the soon-to-be getting married. Congratulations on that. Here's the bag. And anything else you'd like to say, Kyle?
Just want to say hi to my fiance, Cassie. Can't wait to get married. Go Rangers. Everybody named, Buzz and Tom are more than welcome to come.
Oh, invitation right there, guys. You got to like that. All right, Kyle. Enjoy the rest of the game. Appreciate it. Buzz?
Thanks, Noxie. Well, Sam Dyson on now to become the fourth pitcher used tonight by the Texas Rangers, and he deals to Chris Davis for ball one. Sam appearing in his fifth ball game. 2.08 ERA. Opponents hitting .267 against the sinker baller. Pulled the string. And the count evens at 1-1.
Well, Sam's secondary pitches are looking better and better. Slider and a changeup.
Rangers in an overship with Davis at the plate. And Dyson, this is away. 2 balls and a strike. Chris Davis tonight has walked and scored, flied out and popped out. Going inside, 3 balls and a strike. Now Davis leading off the 8th inning for the Orioles. He followed by Mark Trumbo, the designated hitter. Took something off, and just in case Davis was thinking about letting it go.
It's a little bit different Sam Dyson this year.
Yeah.
Leading off an inning, 3-1 off speed pitch for a strike. It's pretty good. Pretty sure Chris wasn't looking for it.
Just missed, down and away, ball 4. And Davis aboard with a leadoff free pass. Now Mark Trumbo coming up. Sam Dyson, the 27-year-old, the Tampa Bay area, went to Jesuit High School in Tampa. Came over to the Rangers from the Miami club last year, the Miami Marlins. Fires a strike here to Trumbo. Mark Trumbo 1 for 3 tonight with that right center field home run into the bullpen. His 3rd of the year. He now has 6 RBI. A little extra giddy up on that pitch. Up about letter high. No balls and 2 strikes. Trumbo 1 out of 3. Brad Brock, the right-hander in that Oriole bullpen, is ready. Another slider that's down and away. 2 balls, 2 strikes now. Dyson a check of first. You would think Sam Dyson would be a pretty good candidate to serve up a double play ball.
Yep, he would.
And I think I shorted the Rangers 1 double play that when they turned behind Tom Wilhelmsen was their 16th of the year. I think I said 15th. He gets a strikeout here, and that is the first out here in the 8th inning.
A guy with a changeup.
Oh, Trumbo retired. And Matt Wieters now will come up and bat from the left side of the plate.
There were games last year where Sam came in and threw nothing but 97-mile-an-hour sinkers, just powered past the hitters. Not that he can't do the same thing now, but he's also featuring a really nice slider, a good changeup. Trumbo with it.
Foul ball makes it 0-1. Wieters has walked and doubled tonight in 3 trips, so 1 out of 2 officially. Wieters and Dyson have not faced each other in the regular season. Infield in a conventional alignment against Matt Wieters, pretty much straight away and in a step or two at double play depth. Odor to Andrus. That's going to be a highlight double play right there.
What a play.
How about Rugnet starting that 4-6-3, and not your conventional way to get it done. Second double play of the night turned by the middle of the Ranger infield. How about that? No runs, no hits, and nobody left. After 7.5, Rangers by 3. Leading here tonight, and we'll be right back here tomorrow night on AT&T high-speed internet. Would like to remind you, Delino Shields and the Rangers take on the Baltimore Orioles in Game 2 of this 4-game set. It's Jackie Robinson Day out at the ballpark here tomorrow night. Adam Jones and the Baltimore Orioles in town, and Jones .315 career average here at Globe Life Park. So everybody wearing 42 tomorrow night.
Very nice.
Brad Brock, the new hurler, on now for the Orioles.
I understand the Ken Burns special is absolutely outstanding.
Is it?
Yeah. My wife watched it while we were gone and has it taped. Can't wait to watch it. She said it was tremendous.
Ian Desmond starting things off against Brock. 1 ball and 1 strike. Brock, a 30-year-old out of Freehold, New Jersey.
It's hard to imagine anything by Ken Burns wouldn't be outstanding. Everything
yeah, you're right.
he's done has been great.
Ian Desmond snapped an 0 for 16 his last time up. Had that infield RBI single. Machado throws him out.
He's got a gun.
Yes, he does.
I would say he'd be a candidate for the mound if he couldn't hit.
There'd be a lot of pitchers that would be willing to get him on the mound instead of at the plate.
He was.
Yeah. Our AT&T high-speed internet replay for you. Rougned Odor, a game-changing doubles. He drove in 2 runs and got the Rangers from a 3-3 tie to a 5-3 lead. And Rougned Odor getting that high-speed double going. That double, 1 of 2 that Odor has tonight. He is 2 for 3. He has scored a run. He's driven in the runs. Odor now with 8 RBI. That's 3rd on the ball club behind Prince Fielder and Adrian Beltre. Average at 205 after a 2 for 3. 2-1.
You got 2 hard hit doubles, 1 down the right field line and 1 down the left field line.
Two balls and 2 strikes. Look at the Ranger dugout here. A little bit subdued, but believe me, about 10 minutes ago, that thing was jumping up and down when they were scoring against the Orioles. And Odor gone as Brock heating it up. 96 and gets his first strikeout, out number 2.
Brock turning into a very, very good reliever. He's pitched 6 innings now, hasn't given up a hit.
Here's Elvis, who is 1 for 2 officially. He has driven in a run with a base hit. He's also walked and scored tonight. Yeah, Brock very much a key member of that bullpen for the Orioles last year, too. Machado across the diamond to Davis, and that'll do it. So Brock has a 1-2-3 inning. Rangers gone. We're going to the 9th inning. It's the Rangers 6 and the Orioles 3.
Great night here in Arlington. The Rangers with a 6-3 lead as we head into the 9th inning. Dana Larson reminding you we've got Rangers Live, the post-game edition, coming up right after the game. If you missed that 6th inning, no worries. We're going to have a complete recap of that pivotal inning in this game for the Rangers. We'll hear from Cole Hamels, from Jeff Bannister, Mark McLemore, and Pudge Rodriguez here with their expert analysis as well. So stay with us right after the ball game. It'll be Rangers Live, the post-game edition. Buzz and Tom, back to you.
All right, Dana, thank you. And it's Tolly time here at Globe Life Park. Sean Tollison on. Tollison appearing in his 5th ball game. He has 2 out of 3 this year and 37 out of 39. Make that 40 in his term as the Ranger closer, which started last May 20th. J.J. Hardy leading off the top of the 9th inning. It's the bottom third of the Oriole order. Hardy tonight 1 for 3 with an RBI single. Tollison, the 28-year-old out of Allen, Texas, deals just a little bit low and outside. Hardy 0 for 3 against Tollison. And if Adrian Beltre takes care of that, he's going to be 0 for 4. That's how the 9th inning begins.
Second baseman Jonathan Scope.
Now Sean Tollison will face Jonathan Scope. Now the Oriole offense has been pretty well shackled the last 2+ innings. Ever since the Rangers took the lead, the Orioles have not been able to mount any kind of a comeback. Double play last inning behind Sam Dyson made a big difference, and of course the double play that Tom Wilhelmsen threw when he came into the ballgame, the one hitter he faced that kept the score at 3-1 at that juncture, really set the stage for the Ranger 5-run rally.
I think when the Orioles look back at this game, they'll remember those two things that you just mentioned: the double play by Wilhelmsen, and a little bit earlier than that, the inning before that, when Cole got out of that second and third no-out jam.
Ball and 2 strikes to Scope. Yeah, the opportunities that you have, and Baltimore's the kind of team that they don't miss many opportunities to score, and that's especially true in their ballpark. Well, you get them rolling downhill, and they're tough to stop. Behind the bag, it's a fair ball. Beltre, the throw across Anaheim, and he got him. 37 or 17. I don't think it matters with Adrian Beltre. What a play by the Ranger Gold Glover.
You just can't jam the amount of plays we've seen in the first week and a half of the season. And it's been every game these plays are being made. This is incredible. Backhand ball was behind him. Wow. Another 1-0 door made the inning before it. Turn a double play. Snuff out a possible rally. Mazzara made those 2 plays the other day in Seattle. Desmond dove and caught some. Elvis has made some spectacular plays. Mitch is picking everything out of the dirt. Catchers have thrown out 3 runners.
The Buck Showalter now going to the bench. Young-Soo Kim, left-handed hitter, and he taps one right down the line and just veering off into foul territory. 0-1 to Kim.
Look at that pick. Couldn't even turn his head to look at the ball. Yep, that is Adrian Beltre. Has been doing it for 18 years.
Boy.
Well, Adrian's well aware of how good Manny Machado is over there, and he wants to make sure Manny knows that he's not backing off an inch either.
Kim 0 for 2 on this road trip so far. That's the second stop for the Orioles. Played 3 in Boston, and Sean Tollison now out in front of the count. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Crowd now rising to their feet. 22,820 applauding the Rangers and Sean Tollison. See if they can't close this out right here. Just missed down and in. Two and 2 the count. Three and 2. Well, if Kim is able to reach against Tollison, that takes the Orioles back to the top of the order. Joey Rickert in that on-deck circle. Tollison with the payoff pitch. Base hit to right field. Now Kim coming through with a pinch hit single to extend this ball game here in the bottom of the top of the 9th. And now Rickert will get his 5th at bat of the evening. Rickard 1 for 4. And an RBI double in the 3rd inning. And the young outfielder takes strike 1. I mentioned Rickard had his 7-game hitting streak snapped yesterday. First player in franchise history to open up a career at the major leagues for the Orioles with a 7-game streak.
One thing you look at with the Orioles every time you play them is if you've got a lead, you look at trying to keep the tying run off the plate from the plate, because they've got so many guys that can hit the ball out of the ballpark. One swing of the bat, you let that tying run to the plate, it can come back and hurt you. Not this time.
Odor to Moreland, and that is a winner. Sean Tolleson with his 3rd save. Tom Wilhelmsen gets the win in relief, and the Rangers come back to a victory over the Baltimore Orioles. A 6-3 win tonight. And what an important way to start this homestand. You've got Baltimore for 4. Baltimore coming in as the hottest team in the American League. And of course, Houston coming in next week for a 3-game series. You want to get off on the right foot, and the Rangers certainly did tonight. It was a well-pitched game for the first 5 innings, and then both teams getting some action going as we got to the 6th. Rangers able to minimize the damage that the Orioles did, and the Orioles could not minimize the damage that the Rangers did, putting up a 5-spot. Jeff Bannister's ball club took the lead for good in the 6th inning, made that stand up for a 6-3 win here tonight. Going to be a happy bunch of Rangers down there, and 28,000 or 22,000 plus on hand as the Rangers pony up on SMU night for a victory in front of their home crowd. And let's go down to the field. Jim Knox is standing by, it looks like, with Elvis Andrus.
I appreciate it. Elvis, quite a night. You were on base 3 times tonight, and early on it looked like you needed every bit of those runs.
Yeah, for sure. You know, that's what I need to do right now. Just get on base as many times as I can. So, you know, really feeling good right now in the home plate, seeing a lot of pitches and trying to do my job.
You know, something else is looking pretty good is also the defense. You guys turned a couple of great double plays tonight, and you even gave Adrian Beltre a little standing ovation on that backhanded jab over on 3rd and the 9th.
Hold on a second.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Uh-oh. Victory knock there. There we go. Very nice.
Alberto threw
Very
it on
nice.
Odor.
Tag teamed on that one. That ought to cool you off. But how about the defense tonight, Elvis?
No, I think we were playing an amazing defense this year so far. That is something that we're taking a lot of pride since spring training. So everybody's playing great, especially Adrian. He's been doing it his whole career, and he just continued to do it.
We'll let you go get dried off. Appreciate it, Elvis Bus.
All right, Noxie, thank you. Yeah, it's great to be able to celebrate like that. That's the way to start the homestand. We'll be back with more from Globe Life Park right after this.